syntax tree. So one of the variants of syntax tree is called as DAG. Okay, this is called as the directed acyclic graph. Okay, this is a directed acyclic graph for which is one of the variant of the syntax tree. So it is actually, they say that it is beneficial to create a tag instead of a tree for expressions, mainly because what happens is, if you have some sub expressions, okay, if you have some sub expressions, like you can see b minus c one is one sub expression, this is again one sub expression. As you can already observe, this is repeating twice, right? So they say that we can easily show the common sub expression and then use that knowledge during the code generation. So whenever you use this common sub-expression instead of two different expressions here, then they say that the code generation will be easy. That means it will result in space, reducing the space complexity as well as reducing the time complexity, because it reduces in the number of code that will be generated. So as you can see here in this particular expression, if you see, b minus c is repeating twice, a is also repeating twice. Can you see here? So instead of using a twice in your syntax tree, you can use all this only once. That is what they say. Okay. So if I write this in the form of a normal syntax tree, how it will look like? As you already know, we start with the down part, right? We usually start with the down part. We can actually separate this like this and this here like this. You can write it in any ways, but you'll have to always follow the precedence level, right? If you follow the precedence level, you can see here that there is a into b minus c. That means whatever is there inside parenthesis, that will be evaluated first, then multiplication and then addition, right? So b minus c will be evaluated first. So you will have b minus c. This is the trick, right? In the same way, you can create this also here also, b minus and then c, right? These two parentheses is done. Now what I should do? I should do this multiplication, right? So whenever I want to do the multiplication, I can do multiplication of this one and this is a, right? A into b minus c. Here what happens? Here you have b minus c into d. Correct. Now once you got these two, what is the next step? It will be, if it is left to right associativity, then this a comes first, right? A plus into this. That means I have a here plus whole of this, right? A plus whole of this, right? Then what I should do? We have already got b minus c into d. Now this part is over, this part is over, this part is over, right? Then you will have to add these two. So how we will add? We will add it here, right? This is our normal syntax tree, right? This is our normal syntax tree. So how do we do this? Now here you can see here, if you want to convert this in the form of a tag, if you want to convert this in the form of a tag, this whatever you can see here, the tree, here it is called as a tag, okay, or direct acyclic graph. You can see here this tree is totally different from this. Now how do we create this tree from this particular syntax tree? We will see that. Suppose I'll take one simple example before I go for tag. Suppose I have an expression like this, a plus a. You can see here a is repeating twice, right? So if I use a normal syntax tree, how do I do? I usually use the expression like this, or the syntax tree like this, a plus a. But if I want to create a direct acyclic graph, acyclic meaning is there is no cycle. Remember, it is a directed acyclic graph. Okay, acyclic means that you are creating a graph without any cycle. Okay, without any cycle. Okay, now here this you will have to create a tag like this. Instead of writing a twice, I can write only a once. Now what I will have to do? I'll have to create like this. Okay? That means this is not a cycle. Remember, this is not a cycle. The cycle, it is not a cycle because there is no, it is only going like this. But it means that the A, it is actually meaning is A plus A itself. Okay, it is not going through any other cycles here. But the DAG is written like this. If you have a common expression, we usually write it like this. Clear? Now, this is one simple example. Now, how do you write a DAG for this? You can see here B minus C. You can see here B minus C is here, as well as B minus C is here. Can you see here? B minus C is here and B minus C is here also. Instead of repeating it twice like this, you can see this is anyway connected to this, right? This is connected to B minus C. So what I can do here is I can remove this part. I can remove one of this part. I can directly connect this to this. Okay, I can directly connect this to this. That is what you can see here. Okay, B minus C is as it is, but instead of again writing B minus C here, this into instead of connecting it to this, I can connect it directly to this. The meaning is same. Okay. Now here you can see A is here as well as A is here. Right? That means that this anyway I can't remove, this I can't remove, but this plus instead of connecting to this A, I'm connecting it to this leaf node. This I will be removing. Okay, but whenever you are connecting, you should see to it that this does not contain any child. Okay, if this does not, if it contains a child, then the meaning will be totally different. Okay, so this should be a leaf node. To whichever you are connecting, it should be a leaf node. Here you can see these are leaf, but there is an internal node. But even though it is internal node, this whole thing is repeating, right? Because of that, we are connected to this minus. Here only one simple leaf node is there. Because of that, we are connecting from plus to A. You can see here plus to A. This is one connection, extra connection that has been made, and this is one extra connection that has been made. This is how we create a DAG or a direct acyclic graph. Okay, so what it says is DAG actually gives the compiler the important clues regarding the generation of the efficient code to evaluate the expression. Okay, it actually gives important clues about generating the efficient code to evaluate the expressions. Clear? And before creating all these nodes, what we actually do is we usually use some steps here like this. You can see here, these are the examples of creating the leaf node. Okay, so you can see here the sequence of steps. This is actually the sequence of steps that are followed in creating the DAG. So what we actually do, we create a leaf node A, right? I had to write it here itself. We create a leaf node A. You can follow any sequence here. You can follow any sequence here. Here what they have followed is, you can see here, the syntax tree created was like this: plus, then you have a star, then you have a minus. This is syntax tree I'm creating. Okay, minus, then we have what? We have D. Right now we have D. Yeah, we have D. Then we had B. Then we had C. Uh, then here plus we had A. Then we had star. Then we had again A. Then we had minus. Then we had B and we had C. And this was a syntax. Now what we can do here is the steps that has to be followed. You can follow any step. You can start from here, creation of this and then creation of this. So this step is given in the textbook, so I will follow this step itself. What they have done is P1 they have given for this P1. That means they are creating a leaf node with entry A. Right? You know already the node how it is written. The node is written as this is the operator. Then we have the left side node and then the right side node. Okay, this is how we actually create, right? For the leaf node is created as leaf of then id comma entry of a. This is what we actually saw in the fifth chapter, right? Whenever you create a leaf node, we follow this particular syntax. This can be either a id or it can be a number also. Okay, this can be id or a number, but here we don't have any numbers, we have only identifiers. So P1 is a leaf node which is created as leaf id comma entry of A. Okay, entry of A. This means entry of identifiers. Now what we will do? We will create the second one called as P2. P2 they have created for this. Okay, so PT they have created for this. Now P2, what it is? P2 is again a leaf node with the entry of A, but it is equal to P1. It is similar to P1. So what they say is this need not have to be created. You can directly give a connection from this to this in the tag. It means that the P2 is equal to P1, right? Similarly, you can see P3. P3 they are creating the entry for this one, P3, right? And then they are creating P4 entry for C. Then they are creating a node called as minus. This is P5, yeah, P5. Then they are creating into, this is P6, right? Then they are creating P7, which is plus, that is the left side, everything they are finishing off, right? P7, this is the entry for this. Then they have gone for P8. Where is this? This one. P8, you can see this is P8, B they have created, but it is similar to P3, right? It is similar to P3. So P8 and P3 are same, right? Then similarly P9 you can see this is similar to this P9, but it is similar to P4, right? This P4. Then minus you can see minus they are creating called as P10, but it is similar to P5 here, P5, right? This. So P5, right? So because of that, this is not created. They are directly giving a connection from into to minus, right? This is how a DAG is created. Then for D also, you will be, it is P11. It is not similar to anyone. This is P11. This is P12. This is P13. These are the sequence of steps. Okay. Whenever you create the syntax tree and all, you will also have to give the sequence of steps. Clear about how it is actually created. That means this algorithm actually tells you, this is actually algorithm which actually tells you that and you can see here this is a HDD. HDD is required or not? Yeah, okay. This is a HDD for creating the DAG, which we will not be using now. We will see that later. Okay. Then you can see the this is about the DAG. I don't think so. I've left anything. Yes. Now, the value number method for constructing a DAG. What is this value number method for constructing the DAG? We just now saw the DAG, the sequence of steps that is followed, everything we saw, right? This actually it is not required here. I will remove this from the PPT. Now the value number method for constructing the DAG. So here you can see there are two methods here for constructing the DAG. This also questions might come. There are actually two methods for constructing a DAG. The first method is the nodes of a syntax tree or the DAG, whatever the nodes are there in the syntax tree or DAG, are stored in an array of records like this. This is actually array of records. Okay, so whatever you have here, the nodes, these are nodes, right? I plus 10 equal to all these are nodes. Okay, this is a leaf node, this is an interior node. Okay, so all of these nodes are entered into array, or it can be also, it is also called as symbol table. Okay, it is actually called as array or a symbol table. So the nodes are entered in an array or a symbol table. This is the first method, first value number method. The second method is actually using a hash table. It is using a hash table. Okay, so we will see the first method which is commonly used. The second method we usually don't use. Now, how do we store the nodes of a syntax tree as a array of records? Here you can see each row of the array, each row of the array that is there represents one record or one node. You can see here this number is there 10 like this. Okay, each row represents one node or one record, and in each record the first field, whatever you can see here, the first field is there. No, the first field is a operation code. The first field is the operation code, which indicates the label of a particular node. This indicates the label of a particular node. You can see here for this particular DAG, ID is actually an entry for I. Okay, it's an entry for your I. You can see here it is written here. It is an entry for I. You can write it there or you can write it here also. Right? It's identified. In the similar way, the second one is 10, which is stored as a number. Right? So the first field here will indicate the label of the node, and the leaves whatever is there will have additional field. This is the leaf. Okay, that means the leaf whatever you have there, it will have additional field which holds the lexical value. Okay, it holds the lexical value, and usually you can see here the number will store, like here it is 10, so the number is storing the value 10. Identifier is actually, it is stored as only identifier without anything here, because it says that it is an entry for I. Similarly, in the interior node, if you have interior node, it will have two fields, one for the left field and the one for the right child. This is the left and the right child. So these are the children. Okay, and these are the operation code. Left hand side whatever is there, it's the operation code. Right hand side whatever is there, these are the children. Clear? So this is how we create a array for this particular tag. Now, how do we create this particular array? How do we create the array? So as you can see here, first we start with I. Okay, you should have a DAG for that. First I will start with I. I will be entering it as ID, and I will be writing it as entry for I. Okay. Then I will have a number. Number is stored as NUM, and it will have the right hand side value as 10. Okay. Then comes plus. You can see here plus comes. I'll be making an entry for plus. Okay. The left child is this one and right child is this one. Now how can I write this? Okay. How can I write this? So you can see here the plus has this child and this child. But in a table, I cannot write here again ID and number. Instead of that, what we will be giving is whatever nodes are there in a array are actually given a integer index. Are actually given a integer index. This is a integer index for each of that record for a particular node. So this integer value is called as a value number. We give a value number for each and every node that is entered in a array. Okay, that means the value number is given like this: 1, 2. Okay, and this is my third one. Third value number is plus. Okay, and what it contains? It contains an identifier in the left hand side, and it contains a what number in the right hand side. So this is my 1 in the value number. This is 2, and this is plus is actually 3, right? So 3 contains plus whatever is there in 1 and whatever is there in 2. So whatever is there in 1 and whatever is there in 2, right? Next, the fourth value number, or for the fourth node, which is actually equal to sign. Okay, this is not plus, this is actually equal to sign. Okay, plus and this is equal to sign will contain the values of this, the value number 1 and the value number 3, because it has a connection like this, right, to this and to this. So it contains 1 and it contains 3. Clear? This is how the array is created for the nodes of a DAG for the expression I is equal to I plus 10. Right? You might be knowing how this a DAG is created. The DAG for I plus 10 is created like this. First I plus 10 is created. Then usually syntax tree will be like this, equal to and then I. This is how the syntax tree will look like. But whenever you create a DAG, this whole thing will be removed and this will be connected to this. That is how we saw the DAG here. Right? So this is how we create the DAG as well as the value number array. Okay, value number array. Now there is an algorithm to create the value number. The value number method for constructing the nodes of a DAG. So what the value number method, what this array will contain? This array will contain the number 1, 2, 3, 4. This is actually equal to sign. Okay. So how do you create this array? As you can see, the input is label of this one operator, okay, or operation code. We can say operation code or the operator. Then we have node L and node right, left node and the right node. Okay. So the value number of a node in an array will have the signature like this. Whenever it gives the output. So in an array, whatever array you get, the array will be in the form OP, L, R. Okay, this is the output that we get. You can see here operation code, then or the operator, then left child and the right child. This is the left child and this is the right child. If it does not have the left and right child, it will have only the operation code and the right child. Okay, there will be no left child and right child. For ID, it is only the operation code. But in general, it gives you like this. So where the input will be any node, okay, the input will be any node with a label OP, okay, or operator plus minus and so on, and the left child and the right child. Now what is the method? The method is you'll have to start searching the array for a node M with the label OP, left child and the right child. Okay, you'll have to start searching. Initially what happens, you will have an array like this without anything here. You can see here, this is an empty array. I will start here. You start searching for in the array. Okay, for a node M. Initially it is empty, right? Initially it is empty. So if there is such a node, return the value M. Otherwise, if not, create in an array a new node N with label OP, left child L and right child R and return its value. In the beginning, we have only ID, which is the entry for I. Okay, so we just go and enter it. The second step, we have the number, right? We have the number 10. You'll have to start searching in the array. In the array, there is no entry for number. So you enter it as number with only the right child as the value 10. Okay. Next time you have a plus, right? You have a plus here. Plus has a left child as I and right child as 10. Right? This is 1 and 2 already is done. Plus will have to be given an entry in the array. So plus, for plus, you have the left child as 1 and the right child as 2. Right? So if not, create an array a node N with label OP, that is plus, left child L and right child R, and return its value. The value is 3. This is the value number. Okay, for each and every node, you have to return the value number. The next one, as you already know, it is equal to sign with the left child as 1 and the right child as 3. Right? So it is 1 and the right child as 3. This is what the algorithm says. Now suppose you have one more node in the syntax tree You can see here I, right? You had one more node I. I is actually already existing. If you don't have a tag, suppose you don't have a tag, you are creating for a syntax tree. So I is already there. Okay. So you are not supposed to create any node. You are supposed to return the value number for I. Both are one itself. Okay. Even though the one more ID is created called as I, but the value number will be one itself. That is how we create a tag. Okay, that is what the first step is. If you have a DAG, then usually you don't have any repeated values here. But if you have a syntax tree, then the node will already be existing for I, right? You will have to just return the value number of that particular thing. Okay, so that is how the arrays is. But the main problem with the first method, that is array method, is that searching the entire array every time is very expensive. Okay, searching the array, entire array, you already know, right? That's the reason why we use linked list. If you have an array like this, if you have hundreds of values in the array, always the searching, if you are using a linear search, then you start from the beginning, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So start searching any array will be very expensive if you have thousands of values. But suppose you have used a linked list, then it will be easy. Okay. So any array, if you method, if you use, searching the entire array every time will become very expensive. Because of that, we go for the second method called as hash table method, where instead of using the array method, we use a linked list method. You can see here, this is a list of elements which represents the nodes. And the hash table in the nodes, whatever nodes are there, that is put into the buckets. It is put into the bucket. Bucket will be in the form of an array. Remember, bucket will be in the form of an array. And this bucket will contain only the headers, which is indexed by a hash value. This is called as a hash table, which is nothing but it is a bucket of header nodes or bucket of values. Okay, so what we actually need whenever we construct a hash table. So whenever we create a bucket of hash table, we usually need a hash function. We usually need a hash function called as h. This hash function h computes the index of the bucket for any signature OP, L, R. Suppose you have a signature called as OP, L, R, that is, you have a node called as plus with the left child as 1 and right child as 2 like this. Okay, then we will have a hash function, any hash function h, that computes the index of the bucket for the signature, this one. This is the signature. So in the bucket will actually compute the index h of OP, L, R. That means each of this bucket value will contain a header value for each of the nodes that is created. These are all the nodes. So if this node is of the form OP, L, R, then the index of that will be stored in the hash table as h of OP, L, R. Okay, that is what it says. They have not given proper example for this, and I didn't find much example for this also in any of the book. So I'm just explaining whatever is there in the textbook. Okay. So this is how the hash table is actually used. So as I told you, since there are no examples for this, I will not be able to explain you properly this particular part, because I have also not understood this how the hash function actually works for the tag properly. So, but what they say is, suppose you want to search for an element in the hash table, okay, they will be usually checking for the value number v, okay, like this 9, 20, all these are the value numbers. They check for this value number and they say that this value number will be stored in each of these signatures that is there here, okay, and based on the value number they search for the value, search for the nodes which is there in the particular bucket. So they say that for each value number v found in a particular cell, we actually check whether the signature OP, L, R of the input node, whatever is there, it matches with the value number which is there in the cell. If a match is found, then they create a cell. They actually return the value number. Otherwise, if a match is not found, then they actually put that particular node into a tree. Like for our previous example, if you create a hash table like this, the first cell will contain the node for ID. Okay. Then the second cell will contain the node for number. The third cell will contain the node for plus. Okay. And before plus, you have the, if you are using a syntax tree, then what they do is, again, if you have a I, we had a tree like this, right? I and I, then we had, I think, what we had here, yeah, plus, we had a plus here, plus is actually connected to this, then we had here what we had 10. Yeah, now I have created an ID for this, right? I've created a number for this, I've created a plus for this. Then suppose I have an I here. Okay, I is actually uh, a extra node, but the identifier by for I is already there here. Suppose I give this number as 1, and if suppose I give this number as 3, then I can also create an ID. If it is different, then I can create an ID for 1 or ID for 3 here. Okay, if it is repeating, suppose if it has the same value number, then I can store it as a linked list like this. Okay, then instead of giving this number, we can start with 1, 2, and 3. So this numbering I can give, instead of 3, I can give the numbering for this as 1 itself. And since the cells are repeating, I need not have to create a node here. I can use this ID itself here. Something like that you can do in the hash table. Exactly how the values is stored, that they have actually not explained yet. Okay, so this is how the hash table is used. Now the next one is the 3 address code. Now what is this 3 address code? In the 3 address code, I hope this is clear for you. This is actually very easy value number method. Just remember that there are 2 methods in creating the DAGs. One is creating the nodes using array, the other one is creating using the hash table. Clear? The next one is 3 address code. What is this 3 address code? This 3 address code is whatever addresses you write, that will be in the that will be entered as a 3 address code. This example of this we have already seen in the lab. One of the lab programs was that like this itself we had created. Hope you remember that. But we had not used that for a DAG. We had used that for a normal syntax tree. Now here, what is this 3 address code? This 3 address code is a linearized representation of a syntax tree. Okay, it is a linearized representation of a syntax tree or a DAG. Now here what happens is, we will be using some explicit names which corresponds to the interior nodes of a graph. And there will be at most one operator to the right hand side of a instruction. Okay, that means if you see here, one example is given. I have an expression like this, x plus y into z. What we actually do here is, you can see here, this is not a 3 address code, because there are 1, 2, 3 operands and 2 operators here. So you'll have to convert this into a 3 address code. In 3 address code, it should be of this particular form. That means only 3 addresses should be there, not more than 3 should be there. So what we usually do is, this y into z, according to the precedence, this has to come first. So we give this as name t1 for y into z, right? Then this whole thing will be included in t2. Okay, this whole thing will be included in t2. So y into z, whatever you have, you can see here y into z, it is stored in a temporary variable called as t1. Okay, this is actually called as compiler generated temporary name. Then what we do, t1 you will be adding it to x, right? So we have x plus t1, that will become t2. Clear? So this is how you convert a 3 address